Hello, everyone. Are you there? I think you are. Welcome to our Premier League preview. What's going to happen? Who knows? Who's going to win the Premier League? Who's going to get relegated? If you want to know the answers, but you're in the wrong place because he knows very little and I know even less. But we're going to try and work our way through it. Hopefully some of you have just joined us for our West Ham against Southampton preview, which was on our other channel. If you haven't seen it, go and take a look now. The link is in the description below. We're not going to talk about that on here. We are here to talk about, what is it? It's game week 37, Geo, right?
It is second last game, yeah.
Second last game. This is not where it all gets sorted. We're going to have a little look through in a second. I'll just take you through the fixtures for this weekend. We've got a Friday night game, which is Everton against Burnley. We have Bournemouth starting on Saturday. That's the early kickoff against Tottenham, the club of woe. The club struggling at the moment. West Ham United against Southampton, we've just discussed. Wolverhampton Wanderers entertain Fulham. Cardiff, a very interesting game now. Maybe we'll get onto that very, very quickly. Got a lot to say about that one against Crystal Palace. Newcastle, Rafa Benitez entertaining his old club, Liverpool, at St James's Park or the Sports Direct Dome or whatever it may be called now. Then on Sunday, we've got Chelsea against Watford, Huddersfield against Manchester United, and Arsenal against Brighton Hove Albion. And I do believe we've got a Monday night kickoff, which, of course, is champions-elect Manchester City, playing host to mini Pep Guardiola, judging by all the gushing comments that Brendan Rodgers was saying about the main man, Guardiola, today, at Leicester City. And there you go, Gio, an interesting weekend of fixtures, my friend.
It is. Relegation's going to could be decided this weekend. I'll tell you what, though, the top two teams have got tough fixtures this week. This is where it gets tasty at the top. They've sort of been coming up against fixtures that you'd expect them to win, and you're looking at these two, and you could probably make a case for each of them dropping points, to be honest.
Absolutely, mate. We'll get to those, but we'll deal with it in chronological order because it starts off Friday night, tomorrow night, as this is recorded. Everton against Burnley, my friend. Obviously, high flying. Well, relatively nice, high flying compared to West Ham. Everton, who are not in bad form, mixed form, one loss in the last five. Burnley, who are surely breathing a huge sigh of relief. They got their work done just before the end of the season. Pipeman slippers out for Burnley and a win for Everton, Gio?
Yeah, I mean, Everton's won their last three home games, haven't they? And they've been impressive as well. Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United. Well, those three teams are sort of trying to give each other the top four space. You've still got to beat them, and they've done it quite convincingly in those games as well. But Everton are hard to call, aren't they? They look good one week, then they go away to Fulham and get beaten stuff, and you think, well, where's the real Everton? Burnley finally turned up, and they were unlucky against Man City last week. They certainly made Man City work for that 3 points. Very well organised. A couple of weeks ago, they bashed Chelsea's centre backs about a bit, and I think Barnes and Wood will be trying to do the same to whoever sent it back for Everton. Be a decent enough game, this one. It's a pity this one's match day 37 and not match day 13, because I wouldn't mind watching this with something to play for. We're now at the dead rubber bit, aren't we? So this is where you look at a lot of these games and you click your teeth a little bit and think, well, I'll just go for a draw because I don't know if either of them will be bothered. I'll go for an Everton win.
Yeah, and of course, with Leicester City away to Man City, Everton can gain a place by winning this game. Burnley, well, you know what? We've just discussed. The second fixture, the early fixture on Saturday, is AFC Bournemouth, who are hot off the heels of an absolute humdinger of a game against Southampton, are playing Tottenham, a team in crisis, Gio, a team struggling to find a win, a loss to Manchester City, a humiliating defeat to West Ham United, another humiliating defeat to reserve under 23 Ajax side, struggling for a win in their new stadium, surely dreaming of a return to Wembley, Gio, would you say, Tottenham?
Well, they've lost 4 of the last 5, and the one win was against Brighton, which came in the 88th minute or something. They've just got no players. When they went to play Ajax, I seen Ajax were 2-1 in the bookies, and I didn't get it. I thought you priced this wrong here, because Spurs they didn't have Son that night, but they've just got no one. Winks is injured. Sissoko had to come on. He was half fit. Vertonghen's now in doubt for this one with concussion. You know, Janssen wasn't registered to play in the Champions League, so even he can be on the bench. So you think, well, someone's mucked up here, haven't they? But you look at this team and you think they should. I'm telling you what, they should be very lucky they're playing Bournemouth, to be honest with you, because if this was a half decent side or a team in half decent form, it'd be a tough fixture. But it's not. Bournemouth have got 1 win in 6, and it was against Brighton as well. I think Spurs will win. Just.
Yeah, not so sure myself. Not so sure. They're gonna. It's so hard when you've got. I say it like I know what it's like to have a midweek fixture in the Champions League, but I'm guessing it's so hard to focus and refocus. They will be, I would imagine, at 70 points, they will be feeling that they're relatively safe for 4th spot. Does it matter 3rd or 4th? Probably not, as far as they're concerned. Looking at Arsenal's form, looking at Manchester United's form, are they going to make up the deficit? You'd probably say no. So again, I wouldn't blame them.
You get a qualifier. The only difference is you have to go into a qualifier if you're 4th. So you've got to start the season with a 2-legged game against some usually poor side in the Champions League.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what, mate? They could probably get another 20,000 fans in for their home leg of that anyway. So they probably welcome the extra revenue. But I'm not so sure. I thought Bournemouth, there were some mitigating circumstances to their swashbuckler because it was a South Coast derby. But I do think Callum Wilson is in good form. They don't have anything to play for, but maybe they're relaxed. Maybe Tottenham are tense. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Who knows? Possibly a draw for this one. Next up is high-flying Wolverhampton Wanderers against Fulham. I mean, apart from the top two, you'd have to suggest 2 of the form teams in the Premier League here at the moment. Wolves are, well, they can't move any higher than 7th, but they'll be looking to really cement 7th place position. They got a really good win in their last game, getting their revenge for the FA Cup semi-final against Watford. And Fulham, I think we're seeing a similar thing, Geo, to what we had when Darren Moore took over at West Brom last season. They got relegated. The caretaker manager was in. The pressure was off, and they've won their last 3 games, mate.
Yeah, you've completely summed it up, really. Wolves need 4 points from 2 games to guarantee 7th. That's regardless of what the other teams do. I think 3 points will be enough for Wolves in their 2 games, in all honesty, particularly when you consider Leicester's fixtures, which we'll get on to. But I think they'll be looking to win this. But Wolves always struggle against teams. I keep saying this to people when they do betting and stuff. I always say they struggle against teams in the bottom 6 for whatever reason. You know, Huddersfield, they got beat twice by Huddersfield, I think. They've dropped points against Fulham away. They dropped points against Cardiff and Palace, etc. Well, whatever it is, they're good at. I think it's because they can't play their counter-attacking team. They can't use their pace as much. And then, you know, Scott Parker's essentially auditioning for the manager's job a little bit, and the players are trying to audition on his behalf, if you like. And if they like him, etc., they're going to try and get him the permanent job. And also, some of these players are wanting out of Fulham in the summer, so you know it'll be a difficult game for this Wolves. Like you said, it's a bit strange that it's a 2 form teams in the Premier League, but it is. I'll go for a draw, actually.
Yeah, I think Wolves have got enough. I think they're hungry enough. Wolves to do it. I really do, and they're going to bounce into next season. I really do think that. But they can't wait. But they don't want the season to end, and they're going to spend big, and they're going to look to close the gap even more. Fulham, of course, are going to have very, very different priorities for next season. The evening kickoff on Saturday, or should I say, the afternoon kickoff, is Cardiff against Crystal Palace. Now, this is very, very interesting. And the reason it's interesting is because Cardiff are in a position where they can put some pressure on Brighton, Hove Albion, who are the only team that they can catch, basically. And Brighton, Hove Albion don't play until the Sunday. Now, that is an awful lot of pressure. Neil Warnock will point to mitigating circumstances this season. There's been a couple of games where they've been completely done by the officials and the officiating. With VAR, they would probably have more points they currently do. What happened with, the tragedy with Salah was nothing, just nothing short of a tragedy, and very, very unfortunate for them. However, they are in the predicament that they are in. But there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for them. And if they can win both their games, then they do stand a chance. I do think there's a lot of opportunity to put pressure on Brighton, who are in awful form. I mean, with the exception of Huddersfield, who I believe have lost their last 9 or something like that. They're the next worst team in the league. So with that in mind, Crystal Palace are safe, nicely safe, you'd have to say, on 43 points. Alan Kenobi has just pledged his future to them as well, who's had an absolutely sterling season, although it does look like Wilfried Zaha wants to leave. An interesting game. Gio, got any hunches for this one?
Cardiff, well, they have to win, don't they? If they don't win, they're down. It's as simple as that. I know mathematically they won't be because of points, but goal difference wise means they're down. Brighton have essentially got an invisible point added onto their tally in comparison to Cardiff. So it's winning or down. I said to you last week they had to win at Fulham or they were down, and I stand by that. I think they're gone, Cardiff. I know a great escape in the Premier League usually lasts 6-7 games or something. I'll tell you what, if Cardiff in the Premier League next season, they've pulled off the great escape in the last 2 games of the season, and it's as simple as that, really. Tell you what, though, this is where it gets a little bit interesting and the conspiracy theories come in, because Palace supposedly hate Brighton, don't they? So Palace could almost chuck their rivals into trouble here a little bit by not turning up, essentially, and giving Cardiff the win and saying, well, there you go, have fun. I'm not sure I buy into that too much, but Chris Shooting might. If he finds that Palace have decided not to play Zaha, for example, he might think there's something to it. I think Cardiff, I've gone for a draw in this one purely because of Palace's away form. They've won 5 in the last 7. That's very, very impressive away form by Palace. But I just don't think Roy Hodgson's the type of manager to let his team off with anything. There's a few clubs, and I suppose I should have said this with Burnley, there's a few clubs in the bottom half of the table that can go up 2 or 3 spaces, and that's a lot of money to them. That's a player in the summer. That's a £6 million player, and they are buying at that sort of area, if you like. Roy Hodgson's not even sure if he's going to have money to spend bar selling Zaha. So £6 million in prize money to Roy Hodgson's probably a decent amount of cash, etc. Zaha, like you said, he wants to will. Well, you've got to turn up for the last 2 games of the season. It's as simple as that. You've got to get your name on the score sheet. You've got to get yourself a match of the day highlights reel. So I've gone for a draw, and I think that's the end of Cardiff's short stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Crystal Palace can move up to the lofty heights of 11th and take 11th from the team that currently sit there, which is our own beloved West Ham United. You touched on briefly the rivalry between Brighton and Crystal Palace. It is real. It is a real rivalry. And I do think Roy Hodgson is too proud a man to let that get to him or to get too involved in that. But it is worth noting that Roy Hodgson, for all his nomadic managerial career, is a Crystal Palace fan. He actually comes from Croydon, which is prime Crystal Palace territory. So, yeah, I'm sure the conspiracy theories will be going around there. What is interesting is Crystal Palace are missing Christian Benteke for this one. And he has been, I'll say, integral. He's been a part of their recent run of form. But when I was looking at the when I was looking at the squad list for this game, looking at the injury, it just said Christian Benteke is unavailable for this game due to his head. So I don't know whether he's not right in the head, or he's bashed his head, or it's just inflated and got larger than it should be. But he's not available. They didn't specify, so he's not there. That could play some part. But you know what? Brighton have got to come out and play. They've been awful. They're terrible, or horrible football team, actually, in many respects. Anyway,
maybe Benteke's got a new girlfriend.
Has he?
Well, you're assuming what head as well.
Oh dear. He's exhausted, is what you're saying.
Yeah, something.
He's exhausted. It'd be a head and a groin issue.
Yeah, something like that.
Christian Benteke is out with head and groin. You heard it here first and last, probably. The evening kickoff. This is the evening kickoff on Saturday. Is Newcastle at, as I said, the Sports Direct Mike Ashley Dome entertain a miserable Liverpool. I don't know what frame of mind Liverpool are going to be in. Let's be fair. I don't think they embarrassed themselves against Barcelona. It's just Lionel Messi popped up and did his stuff. I thought for large parts they were pretty damn good. Liverpool. I thought Salah looked electric, but it's just when it came to those real parts that matter, that extra layer of class on top. Obviously, Lionel Messi has got in abundance. Newcastle, of course, have Rafa Benitez as their manager, ex-Liverpool manager, a manager who did win the Champions League for Liverpool. Are they going to be able to turn it round, that mindset? They must be absolutely gutted, Gio.
Yeah, but like you said, I thought they played superb, Liverpool. I thought they were a better team for the large portion of the game. The second half, Barcelona could barely get moving. For me, it was all about chances falling to the wrong foot. In the first half, that ball came into Mane on his left foot. That was his right foot. There's a good chance in the back net. Then Salah hit the post. It was on his right foot. That was on his left foot. It is in the back of the net. It's as simple as that. Fine margins. When you're playing football at any level, really. But I thought Liverpool were fantastic. I thought Salah, like you said, I thought he was absolutely superb. I thought Matip was the best centre back out on the pitch. Van Dijk was the worst, which was strange. First goal standing still. It does that on against Newcastle, and you can say goodbye to your title hopes. This is a very tough game for Liverpool. Klopp will be looking at this fixture and wincing. I think Newcastle won 7 of their last 8 at home. He's turning that Mike Ashley Arena into a bit of a fortress, if you like. They beat Man City there as well. So it's a very tough place to go. It all depends on how motivated Newcastle are. I think Perez is struggling as well for this, which is huge because he's one of the informed players in the Premier League at the minute. And when he's on his day, he's a top 6 player. He's a bit like Marko Arnautovic for us, really. He's got it. He just doesn't do it often enough type thing. I'm struggling to call this game, Gonzo. I'm really
sorry, I don't know if you just said this, but unbeaten in their last 3, Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go Liverpool purely, but at the same time, I'm only doing it because they're top of the league and not because of anything else, because this is a really hard game. I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool messed this up a little bit. Yeah,
I mean, but they should, they've lost 1 game this season, which is remarkable. They've lost 1 game and they're not top of the league. And that has been a remarkable season for them. And I think, just looking at back to that Champions League, I think he probably would have looked at that and he probably would have thought, I'm only a couple of players away. I think they'll be back and they'll continue to be back because they've got quite a young squad as well. I do think it's a banana skin. I think this is where it all ends. So regardless of whatever Man City do, I think Liverpool step up here and that will probably cost them. Next up on the list is Chelsea against Watford. An easy win for Chelsea, you might think, but looking at my little formometer or whatever it might be called, no win in their last 3, Chelsea. Do we have an up-to-date score for this evening, Gio? It must be full-time. What is it, 10 to 10?
It was 1-1 when we went live.
1-1. So they've not won for 4 games, Chelsea. Wolverhampton Wanderers, Watford are in the FA Cup final. Maybe not as clear-cut as we think, mate.
No, I mean, it's awkward, isn't it? Well, Watford's going to turn up. They got beat at home to Wolves. So you sort of think, well, I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to call. I always think they should be informed because players are playing for their places. But Chelsea are just rubbish. I watched their game against Man United last weekend and it was a poor game. You just looked at it. It was lacking quality. It was lacking any sort of commitment. Conte was running about the pitch doing the work of 3 men because Kovacic and Jorginho couldn't be arsed, and quite frankly, that was pretty much it. Higuain, well, he was looking a bit overweight, wasn't he? And Lukaku at the other end was looking quite good, but then he brought in Alexis Sanchez, and I honestly thought I was watching Soccer Aid or something. It felt like he was watching. It had that feel about it, though. It just felt like you were watching retired players just trying to run out of Old Trafford for the afternoon or something. I was honestly way to donate money. But if Watford want it, Watford win. But if Watford are sort of looking at the FA Cup, then surely at some point one of these teams are going to have to clinch 4th. One of them's going to have to go, you know what, we want this. But I don't think it's going to be Chelsea. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm predicting a lot of draws this weekend, but yeah, I'm going to say a draw on this one.
Yeah, well, maybe. I think in the Soccer Aid derby, I'm going to go for a Chelsea 2-0 win. Goals from Gordon Ramsay and Robbie Williams. Finally, we move to Sunday. I think we moved to Sunday. Do we? Yes, we do. We're already in Sunday. Chelsea Sunday.
that was Sunday.
Keep up, Gonzo. For goodness sakes, terrible. Huddersfield against Manchester United. It's pathetic. And I mean, truly, their form is truly pathetic. And Huddersfield are also terrible. Huddersfield are not 1 in 9. Manchester United, as I say, act in haste, repent at leisure. Do they regret giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the deal? I'd imagine they probably do. Apparently, Edward Woodward hauled Ole Gunnar Solskjaer into the office, and he was told to explain himself and explain why their form has been so shocking of late. But I think Edward Woodward probably needs to look a little bit at himself, because he seems to be getting absolutely everything wrong. And apparently they want to hire Rio Ferdinand as the director of football, who, of course, has no experience whatsoever as a director of football. That being said, Huddersfield are so atrocious, it can only be a Manchester United win, because, well, they're still chasing the top 4, Gio.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go for a Man U win. It's what I call it every week we do this. I just say, well, this week Man United have got the bye, haven't they? You know, it's sort of like guaranteed 3 points. As long as you put in a 7 out of 10, you'll win. Like you said, Woodward needs to look at himself, not the manager. The manager isn't the problem. He might not be good enough, but he's not the issue here. It's the players, it's the effort, etc. And you know, they want a new technical director. There is a former Man United player they should go get. And it's not the guy sitting in the BT studio. It's the guy would have been sitting in the stand at Wembley on Tuesday night. Edwin van der Sar. He's up in high office at Ajax just now. He's the man you want to go get. Someone that has got experience, someone that is clearly doing something that's working, whether it's him or whether it's the manager or whether it's the coaches, etc. Something's working at Ajax, and he's part of it. So why would you not go get Edwin van der Sar in, rather than someone that's got maybe 5 million followers on Twitter or something? That's not who you need. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a Man United win, but do you know something? I actually hope Huddersfield win, to be honest. The fans deserve it.
Yeah, they do. They've been steadfast and resolute, and they've had a bloody good journey, I think. I don't mean that to them and with faint praise. They stayed up far longer.
Wagner's got a new job now. He's got a new job tonight. He's just took over Schalke.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, a good manager. I think he proved himself to keep that club with that budget up for as long as he did. I think tremendous, and good on Huddersfield. And hopefully they've got enough balloon payments and parachute payments, whatever it's called, to see them through and to ensure that they are a healthy club in the Championship. As we've seen every season with the clubs that go down, there is no guarantee that you are going to come straight back up. Leaves us with 2 fixtures, remaining fixtures, one on Sunday and one on Monday. The last Sunday game, well, I'll tell you what, an absolutely pathetic team whose striker didn't look like he could score a goal. And they are playing Brighton Hove Albion, because it is Arsenal against Brighton. Arsenal, we had a little chat before we clicked the broadcast button, Gio. And I was saying to you that Unai Emery has a pedigree for the Europa League. He won it twice at Sevilla, or twice in a row, as you suggested earlier. Is he just so besotted with that competition that he's almost forgotten about the Premier League? And how have they done this evening? Because I haven't had an update, mate.
They were winning 2-1 when we went live, so they came from a goal behind against Valencia as well. I don't know if he's just besotted. I think he's maybe realistic, to be honest with you. This is how many football fans, and we are 2 of them, that look at their club and say, do you know what? We're not going to get Champions League football, so go after the domestic cups or something. And then we sort of partner about trying to compete for 10th, okay? I'm not going to criticise a manager who sort of looks at his team and goes, you know what, we're not good enough for the title, but I'll tell you what we are good enough for, winning the Europa League. And he goes after that competition. If anything, I'm going to praise him, because at last, we now have a manager in the Premier League who's prioritising winning the Europa League over finishing 4th. Tell me the last manager that's done that, because often we see managers in the Europa League that are English clubs, especially the top 6 club, that put out their reserves and etc. Now, Arsenal haven't always fielded their first 11, but he's managed it right. He's managed it well. He's got out of the group stage, then he starts fielding his first 11. That's how you do it. And I would just say that he's more realistic. With Sevilla, he obviously thought, you know what, Barca and Real Madrid run this country, Atletico Madrid as well. So I'm going to go after Europa League, and I'll be happy winning Europa League because it's a success. And I think it's a success if he does it with Arsenal. And I'll tell you what, what would be a good debate is to say they won it and Tottenham go out of the Champions League against Ajax. Who's had a more successful season? The team that got to the Champions League semi-final and finished third, or a team that might finish fifth, but they've won the Europa League? And I'll tell you what, my answer is Unai Emery.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one, mate. And I think it's a really good point about chasing the glory rather than the league position and or the money. Because when you actually do look through the history books, that's what you'll see. It's trophies in the trophy cabinet as opposed to cheese in the cheese room. Finally, the Monday night game is Manchester City against Leicester City. Now, Leicester are also chasing 7th place, so they have something to play for. The permutations, as Geo mentioned, are complicated and far more nuanced than I can ever explain. But there's still a chance, if I don't know, if all the planets align perfectly, that 7th can get European football.
Basically, Man City win the FA Cup.
Well, you've just made it sound very, very simple there.
It's that simple. If Man City win the FA Cup, 7th gets Europa League.
I'm sure it's far more complicated than that. But 7th can get the Europa League, the prestigious Europa League. Earlier on, Gio, you spoke about fine margins in the Champions League, it falling on the wrong foot, so on and so forth. You could also say that with Messi's goal where Suarez hit the bar and it rebounded favourably for him. Slim margins for Man City as well. 29 millimetres in it? An inch in it, Gio, on their game against Burnley.
Yeah, I watched that, and to be honest, I thought the other chance, Jesus had a chance that got clear off line. In real time, I thought that looked more in the one that actually went in. Did you see the fun stat about that? The ball went in 2.95 centimeters, right? Scored by Aguero. What's Aguero's nickname?
Kun.
And
go on.
You're right, it's Kun or Kun or whatever. But 2.95 centimeters in Chinese metric used to be called a kun. How about
that? I wonder if this video we're going to get one of those, you get those nasty messages from Google about explicit language in your video, and they sort of pull it from the list. I wonder if they're going to, not really manage our accents and think that we've just sworn 3 times. I don't know, but he was a lucky cunt, really, wasn't he, Gio? That's for sure. And so were Man City, and they see themselves riding high. Is it plain sailing? I mean, Leicester have looked a little bit tasty. I like Tielemans. Vardy's playing well. Again, Pereira, as you know, I've gone on about him all season. My favourite right back, probably. I like Ben Chilwell. I know you do too. Maddison is playing well, albeit being a bit of a naughty boy as well. A bit of play acting from him. Can they provide any sort of test for Man City?
How much does Brendan Rodgers still like Liverpool? Does he hold them dearly and then might do a Roy Hodgson think, oh, you know what, drawing wouldn't be the worst thing tonight? Or does he look at him and think, you know what, I got mugged right off? And I think it's the latter. I think he looks at Steven Gerrard and looks at Gerrard and goes, it was you. You cost me that Liverpool job. And I think it was as well. I still think Rodgers would have achieved a lot at Liverpool if they got rid of Gerrard. When Rodgers was trying to phase him out the team, and it all started when they played Real Madrid away and Rodgers put Gerrard on the bench, that's when Rodgers can no longer stay at Liverpool because he pissed off Mr. Liverpool. And when you do that, you're in trouble. Gerrard had a bigger say than Rodgers. You know, Gerrard, you're in trouble. Klopp never really had that issue, but anyway, back to the point. I think Rodgers would be. I don't think he would mind if Man City won. To be honest with you, it's a win-win for Rodgers. Either his team win, or Manchester City take a great leap. But remember, if Liverpool get beat by Newcastle, City can win the title on Monday night, I believe. That would put them 4 points ahead of Liverpool, 1 game to go. So that could be the clincher for City. And if that's the case, there's only one winner. And I think City will win anyway. They got a little bit lucky against Burnley, but Leicester don't play as defensive as Burnley. Leicester will come out and have a pop at City, and that will suit City. This is an easier fixture, in theory, than Burnley away was. So I'll go for a Man City win, and I think be a bit of a party atmosphere, I think, because they're believing that the title's theirs. They really are believing that the title's going to be theirs. And do you know something, Gonzo? Regardless what happens this weekend, I've loved the title race this season. It's been refreshing to see. They've been going up and above each other every single week. Every single week, Liverpool win, then Man City win, or whatever. It's been a joy to watch.
No, I totally agree, and I hope it goes to the last season, and then they both get disqualified for financial irregularities, and so do Tottenham, and some by some fluke. West Ham go from the lofty heights of 11th to win the league, but it certainly is an action-packed Premier League schedule. There's intrigue. We've got Roy Hodgson possibly throwing a game against Brighton Hove Albion. We have got all sorts going on. We got a Spanish waiter who may well want his team to lose. We got Brendan Rodgers, who wishes he was Pep Guardiola, who may well allow City just to be in a Bielsa-like fashion to walk through and score a goal. And we have got a team, Tottenham Hotspur, in the depths of despair, in a terrible, terrible barren run, just desperately hoping to get a game and get an away fixture so as they can get some points on the table. The one club that we've not discussed, well, two, is West Ham and Southampton. They are in our Premier League preview. No, actually, they're not. This is a Premier League preview. They are in our preview over on the main channel. The link's in the description below. Please go over and give that a watch. We were quite confident about that, but we are joined by our favourite guest, Chris Akabusi, who was in his usual fine form, and he does have a very, very lovely ornate ceiling in his house. Geo, thank you for joining me, my friend.
A pleasure. I enjoy these videos. Thank you.
They're good fun, and it's made me watch the Premier League a little bit more because I know we've got to do them. I sort of do tune in to Match of the Day a lot more than I did last season. We're going down the boats. Keep your eye on our Twitter account, Hammers_chats. Tickets are still available. As I say, if you go and watch our preview for the West Ham Southampton game, the details are all on there. Weather's looking not too bad. The boats are open for an extra hour afterwards. So there'll be a bit of a party atmosphere afterwards. You can see us there. Gio's going, I'm going, lots of us are going down there. We can't wait. I'm just, it's come to an end quite quickly this season, but you know what? It ain't been a bad one. Thank you for joining us. We've got one more Premier League preview as well. Until next time, I'll see you later.